Good morning, 1045. Good morning, y'all. How's everyone? How's everybody's Christmas? Did Santa get y'all what y'all wanted? No? I think that's a no. Okay, all right. I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry. But who's excited? This is the last Sunday of the year. I'm pretty excited. Ain't that great? Like we all made it. We made it. We're going into the next year, 2020. Who's ready for 2020? Who ready? Shoot, I know I'm ready. Let's get this started. So I believe this sermon is going to be a good kickoff for our goal series next year. I feel like this sermon will help impact us to be able to handle our goals, to strive for our goals, and all that. So I'm really excited. I believe this is a good kickoff for the next sermon series we have next month. Real quick before I start, I'm sorry to annoy y'all, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm not really sorry, honestly. Real quick, I want you to find 3 people you don't know. Give them a high five, hug, say, how you doing? Real quick, come on. Come on, someone you don't know. I'm watching you. There you go. Aw, see, that wasn't so bad. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh. Hey, I said you don't know. I'll let it slide. I'll let it slide. That's fine. Oh. See, that wasn't so bad. We're a family. It's okay to hug each other and to give high fives. It's fine. I know. All right, so I want to open up by saying 2 quick scenarios. So the first scenario I want to talk about, back in 1991, the 2-time defending champion, the bad boy Detroit Pistons, bad boys for people that knew them. They were in the Eastern Conference Finals, and pretty much the Eastern Conference Finals was the last 7-game series they had to go through to get to the championship. And for every professional athlete, no matter what the sport is, these big, super rich owners, they pay you to win championships, to win a championship. That's your ultimate goal. So that was their goal. They was this close. They were 1 7-game series away, and they were going against Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls. And they beat up on the Chicago Bulls, for a few years. So, I'm pretty sure they was very, very confident going into this thing. But the Bulls swept them 4-0. Swept them. And, the first 3 games, they were hard and fought. And even though they were down 0-3, 3 games to none, and even though, percentage-wise it's unlikely for them to come back and win, they still had a chance because, they had that championship pedigree. They won 2 championships previously, so they know what it takes to win. And in game 4, they pretty much gave up. You could tell, like, they didn't have that same sparkle, same pizzazz that they had. They pretty much, bet they match. To the point where even, like, the last minute or 2, a few minutes left in the game, they checked themselves out of the game, gave each other hugs and high fives, and walked off the court with time still left on the clock. Walked past the Bulls bench, and that was it. They pretty much gave up on their goal to get to the championship. And the last scenario I want to talk about is Andrew Luck, who was the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. Earlier this year, before the season started, I think like a week before the season started, he decided to retire. And the analysts beforehand, they were saying that the Colts actually had the team to actually reach the Super Bowl this year. They finally, built pieces around him, got him an offensive line, all these weapons, stuff like that. And could be the actual year he goes to the Super Bowl. But within the 7 to 8 years of his career, he had a lot of injuries, battled a lot of rehab, a lot of aches, and a lot of pains, to the point where he fell out of love with football, to the point where he decided to retire young in his career. And I'm not up here trying to bash Andrew Luck for making that decision, because honestly, I agree with it. Your health is more important than football at the end of the day. But I'm pretty sure there was fans that believe he gave up. I believe even probably some of his teammates probably felt like he gave up, because he kind of announced his retirement a week before the season with really no warning. But, he kind of fell short right when he was about to reach his goal to possibly making the Super Bowl. And my point of those 2 scenarios is the fact that, in the beginning of this year, 2019, I'm pretty sure a lot of us strive for some type of goal. We had some type of goal in mind we was trying to accomplish. And a lot of us, we might have gave up. The trials might have been too hard. We couldn't handle it, maybe, and we gave up right when we were this close to reaching our goal. And I want to put a meme up on the screen to really further, like, explain what I'm talking about. So A lot of us, we are like the guy at the bottom here. You see how close he was to reaching his goal? He was this close. But you see, he gave up. He turned around. And a lot of us are like that, probably during this whole entire year. Or even, we might struggle with this for like a good part of our lives. He was right there at his goal, working hard right there, but then, the trials might have been too hard. It might have been too much stuff in his way. He probably got discouraged and decided to turn around when he was almost right there. And that's the whole point of this sermon. I want to encourage you guys to hang in there. Can y'all say hang in there? Say it one more time. Say hang in there. Because we're this close, a lot of us, to reaching what we're trying to reach. We just need to hang in just a little bit longer. Because a lot of us is right there. Or we're this close to where God is trying to take us to the next level of getting closer. We need to encourage ourselves to hang in there just a little bit longer, because that's all that we need. And in James 1, 2 through 4, I want to open up in that real quick, because this talks about the trials and stuff that we go through. And he said, "Consider it great joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you experience various trials, because you know that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let endurance have its full effect, so that you may be mature and complete and lack nothing." So pretty much God uses the trials and the things that we struggle with along the way to help us, to strengthen us, to help endure us, to help us be more mature. Because for instance, let's just think, okay, imagine if God gave you everything when you wanted it right away. Think about that. Honestly, it still wouldn't matter, because we're still going to go through stuff along the way. Even if he gave it to you right now, instantly. Because guess what? The world doesn't work that way. We're going to go through stuff all the time, no matter how old you are, no matter what level you are, no matter what you accomplish. We're going to face some type of trial. And not to mention, once you include God into striving for your goals, or even your goals even being for God, guess what? The enemy's on it now. So guess what? He's going to try to do everything in his power to distract you, to discourage you, to disrupt you, and send stuff your way. So no, even if he gave it to us right away, really God will be setting us up for our downfall if he gave everything to us right away. But him knowing how the world works, him knowing how the enemy works, he allows us to go through these trials, even purposely allows us to go through these trials to help strengthen us up, to help us endure these things, to equip us. So that way when life keeps coming at us, or things keep happening one thing after another, we're able to endure it because we've been through it before. So we could be more mature. Because think about it like this, like for you parents who had kids, or even if you have a little one right now, when your kids first learning how to walk, they going through their little stage like this, walking like this. You're not going to be all on top of them, like doing this so they can walk. No, you're not going to do that, because you're not helping them walk. What you're going to do is you're going to let them walk on their own. They're going to fall left. They're going to fall right, to the front. They're going to look drunk a little bit, They're going to get their bumps and bruises. But at the end of the day, you're still keeping an eye on them, right? To really make sure they're not really being in harm's way. And that's how God is with us. When we're struggling and going through these trials, God is still watching us. He still has his eye on us. He didn't leave us or forsake us. It might seem like it at the time, but he's watching us. He strengthened us and enduring us, so that way we will be more equipped to handle things that life has coming at us, so we can be complete and lack nothing. And also, I think we need to understand what faith actually is. I know y'all probably like, I don't know what faith is. Come on, I know what faith is, and you probably do. But sometimes we need a refresher on what faith is, sometimes with certain principles. So, in Hebrews 11:1, the writer says, "Now faith is the reality of what is hoped for, the proof of what is not seen." So pretty much faith is a confidence of an expectation that we have, even without proof of it yet. So let's just say, for instance, I have confidence and expectation that I have that I want to lose weight. But yet I see, I still have a little, here, a little bit rollish here. But even though I still have all that, I still have confidence and that expectation that I'm going to lose this weight. And also a big component in faith that we have to think about is trustworthiness. And the question you should ask is God trustworthy? Is God trustworthy? I mean, it's easy to say that, right? But when you're struggling and going through that thing, is it easy to say it then? Is it hard to trust God then? Yeah, it is. Honestly, it is. But we learned that God uses our trials to help us. So we know that God is trustworthy. And honestly, faith is trusting that God is telling the truth, that God is in control. That's what faith is. believing that he's in control of your situation. He's telling the truth about what he has for you. So we're able to hang in there. And another big component about faith too, this in Hebrews 11:6 is, now without faith it is impossible to please God, since the one who draws near to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. So if you want to please God, which I'm pretty sure most of us do, right? You know, we want to please God. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, that even sounds right. Who don't want to please God? So if you want to please God, no matter what situation you're going through, no matter what struggle it is, even if you have to deal with it by yourself at that time, we still have to continue to believe and trust him and continue to seek him. You know, and I love this one quote Dr. Tony Evans said. And he said that faith, the opposite of faith is not doubt, it's disobedience. He said the opposite of faith is not doubt, it's disobedience. So when we focus on just trying to be obedient, like take it step by step, whether we have to dedicate more time to even pray to God, or dedicate it to get in his word more, or to dedicate ourselves and actually step up and maybe join a group or invite somebody in your situation that you're trying to accomplish or trying to get through into our situation. Once we start to do that, that's what helps build our faith up. That's how we can be more obedient, by just doing the little things. And then once we do that and continue to seek him, then that's when you will see what you reap is being sown. And I want to go over like 3 quick points on what kind of faith we really need to have in order to hang in there. Because really all we need to know is understand how to hang in there in those tough situations when it's unlikely that this is going to happen, or we feel like God is not really listening to us right now, or you're really struggling to keep this goal or this thing going forward. And Hebrews 11 is the main text I'm going to be talking about, and this is like the faith. This is a strong chapter on faith, because in the beginning part of Hebrews 11, which I just explained, it talks about what faith is and how important it is. And it also is talking about people in the Old Testament that had to have great faith to accomplish certain things. So first point I want to talk about on what kind of faith you need in order to hang in there is you need that Moses faith. Can y'all say that Moses faith? You need that Moses faith. Say that Moses faith. Yes. Say it like you mean it. And the main component to that Moses faith is perseverance. Moses had the perseverance through a lot in his life. A lot. And you know, most of y'all probably heard things that Moses had to endure, the things that he did. You know, in Hebrews 11:23-29, the writer gives a short little like preview of everything Moses faith-wise he had to do. So it says, by faith Moses, after he was born, was hidden by his parents for 3 months, because they saw that the child was beautiful, and they didn't fear the king's edict. By faith Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, and chose to suffer with the people of God rather than enjoy the fleeting pleasure of sin. For he considered reproach for the sake of Christ to be greater wealth than the treasures of Egypt. Since he was looking ahead to the reward, by faith he left Egypt behind, not being afraid of the king's anger. For Moses persevered as one who sees him who is invisible. By faith he instituted the Passover and the sprinkling of the blood, so that the destroyer of the firstborn might not touch the Israelites. By faith they crossed the Red Sea as though they were on dry land. When the Egyptians attempted to do this, they were drowned. So, as you know, Moses had to persevere a lot in his life, from the point when he was born and when the Pharaoh at the time wanted to kill every newborn Israelite baby, to the point where he didn't want to accept the Egyptian customs and he wanted to be with his own people, to the point where he even killed the Egyptian person that was really abusing the Israelite. And then because Pharaoh found out, he had to flee to another place. And then he had to persevere, understanding that God's calling for his life, which was to free his people from enslavement. Even though, like, how the heck is he going to do that? He's just he's himself. He had to persevere through his own doubts in himself, his stuttering. He got to the point where he had to persevere, even going back and forth. We know the whole, let my people go. We know that whole song that goes on. He had to go back and forth with the plagues. And even to the point where he had to persevere and lead his people to cross the Red Sea. He had to persevere through a lot. And I think about in my life too, where, I shared some of it earlier this year, about what I had to go through early in my life, what I had to persevere through. I was born 2 months early. I was premature. I had problems walking. I had problems talking. I have a cyst in my brain that I still have. And I had to persevere through going in and out of doctor's offices all the time. I had to persevere through surgeries. I had to persevere through going to see speech therapists. I had to persevere through getting MRIs on my head. I had to persevere through the negative stuff that the kids in the neighborhood were saying about me, that I was stupid, that I was dumb, that I wasn't worthy. I had to persevere through my own thoughts and feelings and belief and worthiness of myself, my own depressions that I dealt with. But what helped me really got through was my faith to just keep going. Because when you think about it, what persevering means is the ability to keep going despite of difficulty and delay. To keep going. The ability to keep going on and on. It was my faith that kept me and Moses going. And ultimately, our faith fuels our perseverance. Our faith fuels our perseverance. So the more you have faith in these little things, like even though one thing after another, Moses had to deal with one thing after another through, fleeing and running away to accepting God's calling, to going back and forth. He still had faith in God, even though he didn't know exactly what the outcome was going to look like. Even for myself, I had faith, even though I didn't know exactly why I was going through all these things at the time was going to look like, but I trusted and I had faith that God was in control. I still persevered through the things that came around my path, not knowing that it was building me up to get to a certain point. I had to persevere and keep going. And now because of Moses persevering and keeping going, even though despite the difficulty and delay, guess what? He freed his people. Despite of me having to go through my difficulty and delay by going in and out of doctor's offices and not believing in myself and going seeing speech therapies and not believing in myself, my faith was still just keeping going, knowing that God was in control. Now look, you're looking at what happened, what sold from that. Praise God. And that's how we have to hang in our situations, even though it seems like one thing is happening after another. Man, I'm trying to accomplish this thing and get over this thing, but it seems like something keeps happening. Keep having faith and persevere through. And I'm trying to tell you, watch how God works. And the next point I want to talk about on what kind of faith and order we need to have in order to hang in there. We need that Sarah faith. Say that Sarah faith. Yeah, we need that Sarah faith. Yeah. I like that, yeah. Say it like you mean it. So the main component in that Sarah faith is hope. Hopeful. In Hebrews 11:11, the writer says, by faith even Sarah herself, when she was unable to have children, received power to conceive offspring, even though she was past the age, since she considered that the one who has promised was faithful. So Sarah wanted to have children. Sarah's Abraham's husband. She wanted to have children, but she couldn't conceive. And God told her she was going to have a child. But besides her not being able to conceive, she was old. She was old. No shade, but she was old. Those are two big dramatic things in order to have a child. I mean, yeah. So when God told her that she will have a child, she laughed. Sometimes, it's okay to be human to be laughed. Like, he told me I was supposed to be a pastor. I laughed a lot. Like, past who? Past what? No. I laughed a lot. But to me, like, when I look at her laughing, I looked at, even though she had a little bit of doubt that it could happen, to me, she was also a little bit excited, too. Like, dang, this could actually happen. That the fact, even though I am old and I wasn't able to conceive, wow, this is going to happen. Like, I'm going to have a child. So, she had to be hopeful. Because she had to wait 25 years, y'all. That's a lot. That's a lot of time. Just saying, 25 years. She had to be hopeful for 25 years that God was going to keep her promise, that she was going to have her child. And she did make some mistakes within the 25 years. I mean, it's 25 years. I mean, you could get a little discouraged in 25 years. Just saying. But she was still hopeful in the situation that God was going to keep her promise and she was going to have her child. And I think about myself in the same situation when I had to be hopeful. And this was back in 2014. I'm going to condense this as much as possible. But this is back in 2014. So back then, my dad, he had a pulmonary embolism, which is like this big blood clot rope thingy. And pretty much how it happened, one day he couldn't breathe. So he called an ambulance. We were in the hospital, family's there, me, mom, my sister, aunt. And, my dad, he's had blood clots in the past. So it's like, it seemed like this is familiar territory. Okay, we understand. He's going to be in a hospital bed. They're going to put him on blood thinners to, loosen the blood up. And I remember we were leaving that night because we were just going to, leave, go to church, come see him in the morning, figure the blood clot would be short and stuff like that. I remember on the way home, my mom gets a phone call saying that it got worse, that they had to fly my dad out to shock trauma because it got that bad. So I'm like, okay. So we at the hospital all night. All night. While they doing this surgery for, I don't know, 6, 7 hours. Dad, how long was it? 6 hours, 7 hours? I don't remember. But it was a long time. So finally the doctor comes and says, they had to crack his sternum open, take the big blood clot out, and they said it was like this long. Like, seeing the picture, I couldn't even believe it. Like, how's that possible? But they pretty much said that, they got the blood clot out, and they said that he lost so much blood because of it that they had to hook him up to this machine or else he'd be dead, to straighten his heart back up because he lost so much blood. So we asked to go see him, Okay, so we go in to go see him, and goodness gracious, all these cords were hooked up to him in every angle, every which way. It looked terrible. It looked bad. It looked really bad. Like, it didn't even look like my dad that I've grown up to love and see. So I remember coming home, the sun was up. We was at the hospital all night. And, I slept for like an hour, and something just told me, I haven't go to church still. So I was okay, you know what, I'm going to go to church. And only a few people knew what was going on with my dad at the time, so, they were praying for me and stuff like that. But despite of all that, I was still hopeful. I still served. I still did what I was supposed to do, despite of what, was happening with my dad, no matter how bad it looked. Like, he needed a machine to be hooked up in order to keep him alive right now. I still was hopeful, and I still served. And I remember it was right here, where I was praying for people, right here. And after I was done praying for people, I usually prayed at the altar by myself. So this one time I prayed for, at the altar by myself, and I let everything out, about what was going on with my dad and stuff like that. And I'll never forget this moment where I felt like 20 different hands were just all over me. It gave me the peace of God like I've never had in my life. Like, oh my gosh. And nobody touched me. Nobody came and touched me, nothing. Nobody knew what was going on. The presence of God was all over me. And God told me at that moment my dad was going to be all right. He's going to be good. So I got up like, oh, bet. All right, cool. My dad going to be all right. We in there. But then I thought about it. It's like, as much as I want to run up and tell my mom, like, relax, God got it. We good. He said we all right. I feel like God was testing me in that moment. So I kept it to myself. And throughout the rest of the week, he got worse. Okay? It got worse. All these different, hitting on my mom, asking, oh, we need to do this procedure, we need to do that, we need to do this. And during one of the procedures, he actually died on the table. Actually died. Till eventually they shocked him and they got a pulse. So after finding all that out, I'm like, okay, so God, I don't know if you remember earlier this week on a Sunday, I was praying right here. And I don't know if you remember, like, you said he was going to be all right, but he just died, I mean, you still saved him, but, this is not what you told me. What's going on? Hello? But then I remembered the same hope I had when I first walked through the door that I didn't know. I needed to keep that same hope throughout the whole way. That same hope when I walked through this door and prayed for him before God even told me. I still had hope that my dad was going to be okay. I still had that same faith in God that he was going to be all right. I still had to keep that same energy of faith throughout that whole transition, throughout that whole time. And God was testing me throughout the whole time. So even though with Sarah, even though she was old, even though she had to wait 25 years, even though she couldn't conceive prior, she still had hope that God was in control and that God was going to give her the child that she promised, and she did get it. Despite of, even though my dad was in a terrible, horrible shape, looking like he wasn't going to make it, and was the sickest person in the hospital at the time, the whole hospital, I still had to have hope in my situation that God was telling the truth and that God was going to save my dad, and he did. So in our situations, we need to have hope, even though it looks like it's the worst. Even though, like, you're trying to strive for this goal, whatever the case it is, and it looks like you have no idea how you're going to really achieve this, or even have no idea what you're doing, but we have to stay hopeful. And God, stay hopeful in our situations. Just like Sarah. We need that Sarah faith in order to hang in there. We need to be hopeful even though it looks bad. And the last point I want to talk about, what kind of faith we need in order to hang in there, is we need that Noah faith. Can I say that Noah faith? That Noah faith. Now, this one's personally my favorite. The main component for this one. This is that you need that mind your business faith. That's the main component for this one. That mind your business faith. And what I mean by that is, there's always going to be outside chit chatter of what you're trying to accomplish. People always going to have something to say. Your goal could be to stop smoking cigarettes. Maybe you smoke cigarettes for 30 years. And guess what? Most people won't believe you because that's all they know that you do. You know, maybe you want to quit drinking alcohol. People might not believe you. Maybe you want to stop being in the streets and actually do something right, but people, that's all they know you for. So guess what? That's all they're going to say. They're not really going to believe you. Honestly, you could want to start a business. Maybe you want to start your own cell phone brand or whatever the case may be. Because it seems unlikely, no one hasn't done it before, guess what? They're going to not really believe you. They're going to discourage you. And we need that that Noah faith to not mind what people say and have faith that God's going to be in control of what we're trying to strive for. And Hebrews 11:7, where it's talking about Noah now, it says, by faith, Noah, after he was warned about what was not yet seen and motivated by godly fear, built an ark to deliver his family by faith. He condemned the world and became a heir of the righteousness that comes by faith. So, Noah had a big task. Okay, God asked Noah, to build an ark. Now, the ark wasn't an ordinary boat he had to build, okay? The ark was huge. It was 510 feet long. It was one football and a half feet long. The ark was 50 feet tall. So it was about a little bit bigger than a 4-story modern house. And how much it could fit in it, it could fit 450 standard semi-trucks in this thing. And not to mention it took 120 years to build this thing. And not to mention it never rained before prior to this. Ain't never rained. So he comes in and says, I need you to build this ark for you and your family. Your family's going to help you build this. And I need you to put 2 of every animal in this thing. And it never rained before. But trust me, a flood is coming. Get busy. So can you imagine the scrutiny that Noah, you imagine how people were roasting this man like, Noah, you are stupid. You wasting your time building this thing. It ain't never rained ever. What is wrong with you? Can you imagine what people were saying? And I want to show a movie clip of Evan Almighty. And and in this clip, I just wanted y'all to focus on the reaction of his family when they first find out what he has to do. So, clip please. So I like that clip because I feel like it brings it like more modern to maybe like what Noah had to go through, and even for his family, even though his family did help him build the ark, I'm pretty sure they second guessed it at first. Like, what are you talking about? But despite of what people probably were saying about Noah, that he was probably wasting his time, that he will never be able to accomplish this. Like, why are you doing this? He still minded his business and did what God asked him to do. Had that faith that God asked him to do. And for a lot of us, we have to apply that to ourselves. Because there's always going to be outside people telling us what we can't do. There's always going to be people saying this goal is unrealistic. Are you wasting your time? You're not really gifted. Like why? There's always going to be outside people running their mouth. And to be honest, a lot of things that we strive for in our lives or whatever goal we're trying to accomplish, a lot of people are not going to understand it because your path and purpose for your life is not the same as everybody else's. So at the end of the day, what seems weird to everybody else, of course it's going to seem that way. Of course there might be a disbelief because God's path and purpose for your life is different from everybody else's. Like my path and purpose is different from yours. Yours is different from mine, and vice versa. So of course not everybody's going to understand what you're trying to strive for, what you're trying to get at. I like what Paul said in 1 Corinthians, I think 25, where he says, the foolishness of God is wiser than human wisdom, and God's weakness is stronger than human strength. So God is on a whole nother level than the average man, okay? At his fullest point, he's way smarter than everybody. At his weakest point, he's way stronger than everybody else. So who cares what the next person is saying? God is way bigger and stronger and has your best interests at heart way better than what anybody else is saying. Period. And when we don't mind what others say, that's how we stay focused on what we're trying to accomplish. When we don't mind what other people are saying, that's how we stay focused on what we're trying to accomplish. So yes, and honestly, even the enemy will use your loved ones against you. Like he knows exactly which people to use to discourage you, people's opinions that you might value the most, to discourage you. And at the end of the day, if this is what God has for your life, if this is the desire in your heart of what you're trying to strive and get to, I don't care if your own mom is discouraging you. Sorry, Mom. Sorry. God has seen me through this. God put this desire in my heart, and I don't care what anybody else say. We need that mind your business faith. I don't care what your coworker in the cubicle next to you say. I don't care what your gym buddy says. I don't care what anybody says, because they're not supposed to understand God's path and purpose for your life. Only God needs to understand it. And to be honest, I want to advise that also, like, whatever goal, whatever you're excited about, don't be quick to post that status or to tweet or to tell everybody. Because the more people you let know what you're trying to do, that's more people the enemy can use to discourage you. So really, only tell that one person you know that's going to support you and keep it within God and just leave it at that. Have that mind your business faith. Don't listen to the outside chit chatter. Don't listen to what people are saying, because guess what? They're not supposed to understand. Because your path and purpose for your life is only for God alone. And guess what? Moses seemed stupid until it started raining. Now who's the joke on? And now I want to wrap up with showing this video clip with me and one of my youth students. What's up, ALC family? How's everybody doing? So right now I have one of my youth students, Maddie, with me. Say what's up, Maddie.
Hi.
So pretty much I just want to have Maddie explain like her process of the goals and stuff that she accomplished this year. So I'm just ask her like a few questions, and you're just gonna hear how her answers. So let's start. Okay, so Maddie. So for the beginning of the year, when we had you write out like your goals on like the poster board and stuff like that, how many goals did you actually accomplish this year?
So the goals that I accomplished were to get like 2 or more roles in the play and musical, and to make friends in my first year of high school.
Good. Okay. All right, good. So, can you tell me the process? Like, what was like the struggles that you had with like attaining both of those goals?
So with theater, I had to memorize a monologue and a song, and so for the musical, I had to memorize the song, which was easier because songs are a little easier for me. But the monologue songs always tripped me up because I had trouble memorizing them and finding characters for them. So like I would stand out with uniqueness kind of thing. But I did end up getting for the play a good role, which is nice as a freshman. I was the only freshman that got casted with a role and not ensemble.
Oh yeah.
And for the musical, I got ensemble. A little disappointing, but like I still got in, so that's nice. And with the Friends, I had like this long period of time where I was eating lunch alone, and it made me it tripped me up a lot because I like being social during my lunches, even though I'm an introvert. But I eventually like found friends by like actually talking to my classmates. So
Good. Okay. So another question I have. So, were there a point in the time of the path or the journey that you had to go through to obtain the goals? Like, did you have any doubts or wanted to give up during those times?
yeah, so for theater, it's hard for a freshman to get a good role. So I was really doubtful that I was actually going to get casted for the play because plays kind of weren't my thing. And for the musical, I was still nervous about getting casted because I like all the other people who were super good. They were just like, I was like, my song probably not that good compared to theirs. And with my friends at lunches, I was actually eating lunch alone in the library for about 2 weeks before I actually decided to go talk to my Spanish classmates, which is my lunch period. So it was this whole thing where I was like sitting alone in the library, almost in tears because I had nobody to sit with while eating my yogurt, whatever I was eating that day. So.
Oh, okay. Good. Thank you for the transparency. And then the last question I want to ask. So, how did your faith in Christ, like, how did God get you to like do the hard times in your situations, like through your doubts and stuff like that?
So if you know me in youth group, you know that my only thing that I really pray about is theater
Very
or
true.
some kind of like musical
Very true.
related thing.
Yeah.
So that was like my way with theater. But like sitting in my bed alone, just waiting to fall asleep was the time where I prayed about Friends because I was like, why me? Come on, God. But he eventually helped me out, which is nice. So.
Good. Well, thank you, Betty, for being transparent with us. I know it's kind of hard to really express some of the hard times through it, but I'm sure a lot of people will appreciate what you said. Even though I wanted you to be on stage with me to explain all this to them, but you had to be on like vacation. I mean, you got to be with your family and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
gosh.
I guess, but you know. But thank you once again. Thank you.
Of course.
So pretty much why I wanted to use one of my youth students to explain this, because pretty much what we talked about and discussed and how she answered it, that's pretty much what this whole sermon is about. You know, with our youth students, each year, you know, we want our kids to strive for something. We want our kids to set goals, to learn how to endure the struggles of setting goals, and to even seeing how happy they were to even accomplish something. I don't even care if the goal was tiny. Whether it's get good grades, whether it's to make sure you clean up on time, whatever the goal is they set, we want them to set that. And she went through the whole process, the whole breakdown that a lot of us went through. You know, the start of it, the struggle part of it, the doubt part of it, to the point where she still trusted in God. You know, and this is a 14, 15-year-old. This is a young adolescent still. You know, we can learn a lot from our teens, because she did go to a point where she was sitting at lunch alone, upset. You know, she did struggle with the part that she tried to try out for a role that usually freshmen don't even get. And over time, through her perseverance, through her having faith in God and her hanging in her situation and not giving up, she did get a role that freshmen didn't get. She did have friends at lunch. And me even going to like some of her plays and stuff like that, like all the friends that she had made through this quick time, even though like I remember at the beginning when she said like she was struggling with it, it's amazing. And there's a lot of things, and a lot of that her process and stuff like that is a lot that we've all struggled with over time. And it's important to encourage our teens and our kids to strive for something, because guess what? Once they leave the grade school world, life don't get any easier for you. They're going to try to strive through different things. They're going to have some bumps along the road. Their hearts are going to get broken. But of us setting the foundation, and I really wish more people would have told me to strive to set more goals and stuff like that when I was younger, because we're setting the foundation. So even though outside of grade school, when they will struggle, when they will be tempted and tested, they have a foundation to be equipped, to be able to endure what life is going to throw at them. And they're mature enough to stay with it and to hang in there in their situations. And if a 14, 15-year-old girl can do it, then we all can do that. We all have the capability. We all can do it in our own situations. And in Matthew 17:20, last verse of the day, and Matthew wrote, he said, because of your little faith, he told them, for truly I tell you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will tell this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. So faith as a mustard seed. Can you put up a picture of how small a mustard seed is? That's how tiny a mustard seed is. And Jesus knew the disciples had faith this tiny. And I'm not literally telling you, okay, go outside in front of your house to the biggest tree and yell it to move, and then it's going to throw itself across the... No, I'm not saying that. But with faith the size as a mustard seed, how tiny it is, Jesus is saying whatever seems impossible in your life is possible. All you need is mustard seed size faith this big. Sometimes we think we need faith the size as the sun, but really all we need is faith is this big for God to make moves in our lives. This tiny, this big, this is all the faith that we need. Moses, when he persevered through everything that he went through each time, or each stumble that he had, each thing he had to persevere through, all he needed was mustard-sized faith to get through, and look what God led from that. With Sarah, it was unlikely for her to even have a child, even how long she waited, even though she was old. All she needed was mustard seed-sized faith for God to move, to make the impossible possible. For Noah, he had to build this big, huge boat that took 120 years, and it never rained fire at that point. But all he needed was mustard seed-sized faith to get through. That's all we need. In my own life, I needed the mustard seed-sized faith to get through. In and out of the doctor's offices, MRIs, listening to what people said about me, that I wouldn't amount to nothing. I actually believed that at one point. But all I knew was to keep going. All I needed was mustard seed-sized faith to persevere through these things. And now look what God has done. Look what God has done. It is not too late in your situation. It's a few days left in this year, whatever you try to strive for. Hang in there, don't give up. All you need is mustard seed-sized faith to keep going. You guys can do it. You don't have to wait until 2020. You can keep it up and pick it up right now before you leave this building. And I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. But when you just have enough faith, I'm trying to tell you, God will make the impossible possible in your life. So please hang in there. Look at me as a testimony of that. What he did for me, he can do for you. He can do the exact same thing. All you need is mustard seed-sized faith, y'all. You don't need all the faith in the world, just enough, and God can't use that. So whatever you're striving to do, whatever you're trying to accomplish, do not give up. Don't give the enemy what he wants. Because he's trying to disturb you and destruct you. Because he has a plan ahead. And as you see it, the way the world is looking right now, he's doing everything he can. So y'all need to hang in there and stay with it and stick with it. And at the end of the day, we all have to hang in there. We all in it together. Ain't nobody by themselves. We all need to hang in there. I believe in y'all. Jesus definitely believes in y'all. It's time for y'all to start believing in y'all. And so quick next step points as I wrap this up. Start a relationship with Jesus. Because I know a lot of us, we've been trying to hang in there by ourselves. And we can't do it by ourselves. We can't accomplish things by ourselves. We can't get through the trials and stuff by ourselves. So I invite you, start a relationship with Jesus. Realize that you're not hanging in by yourself when he's on your side. He's with you every step of the way. You don't have to hang in there by yourself. Also, I know some of the ushers handed out these magnets. And Antoine talked about groups that are starting in a few weeks. This is the whole year schedule of all of 2020. All the events, all the things. This is a way how you're able to hang in there. All these events, all this stuff that we are doing, this is how you hang in there. This is how we can step up and hang in there. Get invited to a group. Get plugged in with other people that are hanging in there as well, like you. There's baptism, fast, all the stuff we're doing this year to empower us hanging in there. And lastly, I even challenge you to read Hebrews 11 because it will change your life. You will get all the faith and encouragement you need to hang in there and in your situation. Now I'm going to pray us out because I went over, and I know y'all probably tired of me talking now. But, all right, so can everybody bow their heads, please? Close your eyes. Dear Heavenly Father, just thank you for being so good to us. Just thank you for never giving up on us, even when we give up on ourselves. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for always watching over us. Even though at times we feel like we're by ourselves, you are right there watching every step of the way. Thank you for caring for us. Thank you for making each and every one of us special and unique in our own way. And Lord, help us to remember throughout the good times, throughout the bad times, even through the struggles, all we need is mustard seed size faith to get us through. All we need is mustard seed size faith for you to make moves in our life. That's all we need, no matter how bad the circumstances look, no matter how unlikely it is, no matter what this next person say that we can't do it, and we can't accomplish this, and that you don't matter. With you is all we need. With mustard seed size faith, that's all we need, Lord, to get us through. And I pray that if anyone that was about to give up, that they turn back around and keep digging like that gold digger in that beam. Because we're right there to our goal. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Can't control what tomorrow will bring, but I know here in the middle is the place where you promised to be. I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? As I walk now through the valley, let your love rise above every fear. Like the sun shaping the shadow, in my weakness your glory appears. I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? Whoa, 'cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? God, you're in this place, and it's all about you. Was I forsaken? The Lord is in this place. The Lord is in this place. Come, Holy Spirit, dry bones awaken. The Lord is in this place. The Lord is in this place. Sing out. Not for a minute was I forsaken. The Lord is in this place. The Lord is in this place. Come, Holy Spirit, dry bones awaken. The Lord is in this place. The Lord is in this Feel him surround you. God, fill this place. God, remove anything that's not you. 'Cause it's all about you, God. Oh, it's all about you, God. I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? Meet us here, God. 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? I'm not enough without you, God. I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? I can't do it alone. 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? Meet us here, God. Meet us here, God. Come and have your way, 'cause it's all about you.
The faith the size of a mustard seed. The faith the size of a mustard seed. Thank you. That's all we need. For those, I know you know the size of a mustard seed, but for those who don't know, a mustard seed is one of the smallest, if not the smallest seed that you can find. That's all God requires of us. So we have to keep pushing and pressing and persevering and believing and having faith. See, things don't always happen in our timeline, but it always happens in God's timeline. And we keep the faith knowing that whatever we need, He's going to provide, no matter what. And there may be times when we have doubt and we may be disappointed, but we know that God is going to give us everything we need. So we have to purpose ourselves and stop praying for what we want and start believing for what we need. There's a difference. There's a difference. And God provides what we need. We get disappointed when we pray for what we want and we don't get it. But He's already provided our needs. So may the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn His face toward